Do you write long form content? Do you feel like reading and collating multiple research resources and call transcripts are eating up hours of your time? Of course you do. Imagine if you can turn mountains of content into a good quality first draft in just a few minutes. For the last few months, I've been working on a process that can do just that, and today I'm going to share that with you. This video is broken into three separate sections. The first is a quick outline of the resources that you're going to need to use this process. The second section is the live demo. I'm showing you how to put it all together. And the final section is a brief explanation of how I created this process. This is purely for the super nerds who want to try and do something similar for their own context. So don't feel obligated to stick around for that. First two sections are for you. But yes, let's get going with section number one. So the resource that you're going to need, first off, is the actual resources, whatever those are. So call transcripts, product service details, verified research you've done ahead of time. For this demo, we're going to be writing an article and using a transcript from an interview I did with Shay on the very first podcast that we did together. You can actually check out the interview over here. I think I'm pointing to the right place if you are interested. But yes, so like I say, for this demo, we're using the transcripts of the conversation between Shay and I from the Business of podcast. The second thing that you're going to need is a framework for the piece you're trying to create. This is because AI spits out really generic content. So it's best to have some sort of template, especially if you're working with stuff like case studies, thought leadership, deep knowledge articles. You should have a resource of your own with various templates for various different things. My clients, some of them like case studies, and we've worked out this kind of three act structure case study that works quite well. So I've got a template for that. Others like super technical case studies. Others need engagement-driven case studies, that sort of thing. I've got templates for all of those. For the purposes of this demo, we're going to ask ChatGPT to create a framework for us as we go. So that is an option if you're feeling super lazy for your first draft. But for clients with specific needs, it's best to have some templates based on their very specific requirements in your back pocket. The third thing you're going to need is a style and tone document. Now, a lot has been said about ChatGPT not being able to get the tone and style correct. And this is mostly correct, but I've figured out this little hack that is super helpful to get content close to brand voice on the first draft. For this demo, I've created a quick style guide based on the tone that I found on Shay's website. That was super quick to create. I basically popped her URL into Perplexity, asked it to analyze her website and create a style and tone guide for me. I ran that through ChatGPT with the prompt, please optimize for use with ChatGPT. Great. So now that you've got all those things ready to go, that's literally all you need. Right. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to go across to ChatGPT. Coolio. So the very first thing that we're going to do is upload the transcript from the call. And we're going to use this prompt. This is a transcript from the full interview with the subject matter expert. Please give me a concise summary of this call. So what we're doing here is kind of getting ChatGPT in this particular chat used to this content. We're trying to get it analyzing the content already before we start asking for very specific things. Great. The next thing that we're going to do is use this prompt. I need to create a deep knowledge article based on this resource. The article needs to be 2,000 words. So let's see how ChatGPT goes with 2,000. The target audience is freelancers based in South Africa. And based on these requirements, give me a suggested structure for my article with a per section word count. Now, the per section word count is important because although we've already specified that the full piece needs to be 2,000 words, ChatGPT kind of defaults on the lower end of a word count. So what I'm doing here is asking ChatGPT to take that 2,000 words into consideration and basically break up per section how many words should be per section so that when we create the first draft, we're kind of in that right ballpark for word count. Cool. Now, the framework, obviously, I mentioned before, if you've got specific frameworks for clients that you need to use instead of this, that's where you would upload your framework and say, based on this framework, divide the content up into this framework so that it creates a balanced article or balanced narrative. Like I say, for the sake of this demo, we've just asked ChatGPT to create a framework for us. The next thing we're going to do is tell ChatGPT that to pull the relevant information from the resource to create the first draft. What I've learned as well is that ChatGPT likes to repeat itself a lot, and this does add to the kind of subpar quality that you get out of it usually, because it tends to just regurgitate the same old information over and over in different ways. That does make it really easy for a reader to pick up that a piece was generated by AI, because it's saying a lot of words for not much information. So this has become integral to how I create my articles. Each paragraph and section should include unique and valuable insights. Do not unnecessarily repeat information that has already been conveyed. Make sure that the narrative flows and that each section builds on the previous one to create a seamless flowing storyline. Now, essentially, we're asking ChatGPT, based on that framework and the word count, go ahead and create the first draft of the article. So it's finished generating the first pass. We're not at the first draft just yet. Okay? Because we now need to align this document with the tone and style guide. So that is our next prompt. We're going to upload the style guide that I put together. Okay, great. So we've aligned the content with the style and tone guide. It is just a kind of cursory alignment. So you are going to, once you've finished creating this first draft, go through it with a fine-tooth comb and make sure that everything is correctly aligned. ChatGPT likes to output in US English. So that's a basic change that you're going to have to do, is convert it to UK English for a South African audience. But it helps you at least get it in the right ballpark. The next thing that I want to do is check if there are any specific quotes from the transcript that can be used strategically through the piece to highlight specific points and provide more impact. So we're asking the AI to interrogate the initial transcript again, and come out with very specific quotes from Shay. Okay, and because we're super lazy, we are going to ask ChatGPT to add the quotes in the relevant place. Right, I can see just from first glance that what it's done is not really what I was looking for. So I'm going to make an amendment. It's always important to say please, because when the machines rise up, at least it will remember that you were not rude. Please use the pull quotes as pull quotes to break up text, make the article more readable. Alrighty, and so that's more what I kind of had in line. Another prompt that you could use based on this first draft before you kind of copy paste it and start the human tweaking on the back end is if you wanted to maybe make some or give some more kind of tangible walkaway points for the actual freelancers. So maybe like a block or a bullet point form at the bottom of each section. So I think I'm going to add that before copying it across to the Word document. The document will be available for anyone who's interested to read through the quality of the first draft, or actually see the quality of the first draft straight off the bat. I will put the link to a read-only or review-only Google document in the show notes for you. But yes, let's quickly add in some takeaway points, some action. Actually, let's make this, please add in one actionable takeaway point per section. Cool. And yeah, that's quite nice, because in terms of like the design of an article, that can be like in a little colored box or something as a call out point. I think that's quite handy. Plus it's giving really good relevant advice to the target audience. So yeah, I'm going to not let you watch ChatGPT generating, I am going to stop sharing. I will obviously put the link to this document. I'm going to copy paste it as is from ChatGPT so that you can see exactly how it generated the text, and you can have a proper look at it. But yeah, that's essentially the end of the demo. If you would like to see how I put this process together and what my inspiration was, stick around for the final section. Alrighty, so you're still here. I assume you're a giant nerd who watches documentaries like Turning Points, The Bomb in the Cold War to unwind, and you spend more time watching analysis videos for Arcane than the show itself. Welcome, you are my people. So this is 65 Days of Static. They're a British instrumental rock band known for blending all kinds of different types of music, from post-rock to electronic and something called maths rock. And they create these kind of like intense cinematic soundscapes, and they're great to listen to when you're working if you're into that sort of sound. But what is critical for the purposes of this inspiration, they're pioneers in algorithmic music composition. So essentially, they use code and generative processes to shape their sound. So I'm a big band of the fan. I'm a big fan of the band, and I knew that this is how they generated their music. So I asked ChatGPT to detail exactly how they use their algorithms, and I replicated that process for written content. So step one, the band creates a framework within which the algorithm generates the actual sound. So for writing, I mentioned before the resources that you need to do this process. Start with a framework for your piece. I find it's best to have a template, especially if you're working with a lot of repeat clients. You kind of start understanding, if you've been working with them for a while, exactly what they're looking for, and you can actually put a template together for specific pieces. So again, like case studies, deep knowledge pieces, etc. All right. Step two, they add randomness to make each piece unique. So in context of long form writing, this is essentially adding the resources you've collected to populate the framework. I run a lot of interviews, so a lot of my articles that I write are based on interviewing a subject matter expert. And so my resources are often transcripts, but there's also front-end research that I have to do to create questions for those interviews, etc. So that's usually included. If you have additional documents with specific pieces of information or specific research that you've done for this piece, that's all going to be added at this time. That is your adding randomness to make the piece unique in the context of how the band creates the music. Step three, they feed data into their code to adjust the music to their signature sound. So as a writer, this is essentially aligning the style and tone with the content, with the relevant brand voice. Again, have a style and tone guide, especially for repeat clients. It makes it so much easier. If they don't provide you with one, you have to make your own, but it is well worth it. While ChatGPT doesn't get the style and tone 100% correct, it at least gets it into the correct ballpark so that you're not doing corporate speak when you're actually like a really quirky brand. I've found as well that it's easier to do this than to actually prompt. If you want a piece to be conversational, for example, and you prompt ChatGPT, make this conversational, the output is terrible. It sounds like a stone surfer. Have a style and tone guide. And really, it's pretty quick and easy to put these together. Go to the client's website, provided the client is happy with the tone and style on their website. Pop the URL into Perplexity, ask it to create a basic style and tone guide. Take what it creates, plop it into ChatGPT, and ask it to optimize that guide for use with ChatGPT. Step four, the band then layers different sounds and samples for texture. So in writing, this means pulling in various sources, quotes, data points to add depth to the piece. As you saw in the demo, what I did was I asked it to interrogate the transcript again to get some pull-out quotes. What you can do is ask for specific information like data points as well. if you've got additional resources that you need to cite and reference, and you've got all of that in your resource package that you're adding to the initial step, you can have that pulled out as well. What works quite well is if you actually point ChatGPT to the very specific resource that you're looking at. So if, for example, with this demo, we had multiple resources, and I know that X data point for how many freelancers per capita there are in South Africa is in the bulk research that I did, and it's got a citation. I will say, please refer to the name of this document. This is the point of reference I'm looking for, and it will pull that out for you and cite it in the piece as well. So another handy tip for you. The final thing that the band does is during live shows, the music changes slightly each time because, as I mentioned before during the demo, you can't templatize prompts. ChatGPT or any AI is not going to generate the same content based off of a templated prompt. So each time you prompt, even if it's a templated prompt, it's going to create a different output each time. What this means for you in context of creating long form content, you can use this two ways. So either refine your draft in ChatGPT by adjusting the prompts. I found once I've had the full draft generated, I will then break it into sections, and I'll feed those sections into a new chat to say, please optimize for this. This is actually how I want the paragraph structured, etc., etc. But what you can do as well is each time you're learning, each time you run this process, you're learning exactly how the prompt structure itself is working for you. So adjusting the prompts each time you run this process, it helps align the content with your style of writing, how you enjoy creating content. And it also keeps it quite dynamic and tailored in terms of the final output. So that's the 5-step process. That's the inspiration behind this thing that I created. I hope that this was useful, and I hope that you find value in it. Don't forget to subscribe if you're here. Share with your mates, and yeah, I'm quite interested to know if you do put this process into place, how's the outputs that you're receiving from ChatGPT? I'm interested to know if this process works kind of across the board. So please do reach out to me, pop some examples through to me, give me your feedback. I'm super interested. Leave some comments in this video, and we will see you in the very next episode.